Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. If you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series, for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We review one vendor or the solution. And for today, we have Keap, which is a very popular CRM, and they would fall under our CRM bucket, CRM category that we track. So we are going to have a lot of fun discussing that. Before we dig into that, we are going to start with everybody's quick intros. I am going to start with my quick intros. I'm Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the analyst and advisory firm. On that note, Andy, do you want to go next?
I would love to. Thank you, Sam. As always, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
My name is Andy Pratico. I've been involved in ERP software for manufacturers all my life. I worked all over North America. I also teach people how to uncover the truth about ERP system before they buy, and I have a published book on the topic. And I thank you so much for allowing me to attend, Sam.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Andy. And if anybody in the audience is interested in comedy classes, Andy is really, really good at that. And he does not charge anything, the best part.
Well, no one will come to my stand-up. You see, that's the problem. It's too ERP centric. You see,
but everybody comes here for this stand-up, but they have to go through ERP 101, I guess, right?
That's right.
To be able to understand this comedy.
Yeah, that's right.
Shrestha, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. My name is Shrestha Das, and I'm working as a industry research analyst at Elevate IQ. And I'm super excited to be here today.
And congratulations, Shrestha, Andy. I don't know if you know that or not. Shrestha got promoted, and I can never do her name, I guess. Never, ever.
You can never what?
I can never do her name. Her name is so difficult. Shrestha. See, Andy does it far better than me. See, Andy is better at everything. Am I
correct?
Andy is better at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
No, she got promoted. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Shrestha. I'm sure you deserve it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, let's go back to our topic right now. If you're in the audience joining for the first time, make sure you guys post your questions, comments via WBS Rock. We are a big fan of that three-way conversation. So if you have any sort of stories, comments, experiences using this, we would love to hear those. We would love to debate those as well. On that note, guys, I'm going to dig right in, if you guys are okay with that. So overarchingly, I guess one of the themes that we all have experienced and Shrestha as well as Andy, I guess you guys have reviewed a lot of different CRM systems, and I'm pretty sure you all are noticing a little bit of trend here. And that's the intent. I mean, that's the intent of these reviews. We are analyzing different trends, where the market is moving, looking at everybody, how everybody is trying to position, who's overcommitting, who's not overcommitting, etc. And that we do based on analysis of different categories, and that's how we define our market categories. So a couple of touch points. Again, if you joined this for the first time, some of the content sources that we utilize for these reviews are going to be any sort of historical news stories. Our first preference always is going to be the financial statements. If they are available publicly, in 90% of the cases, they are not. In the financial statements, we find a lot more truth. Marketing is always a little padded, I would say.
Financial statements are obviously available when it's publicly traded, but when they're private, they're usually pretty close to the vest.
Yes, exactly. So we just don't have those data points available, and then we just simply need to go by their marketing messaging. The second best source that we generally trust, based on our experiences, is going to be any sort of PR stories or public releases. Generally, companies are slightly more informed when they are doing those press releases, and the reason for that is because it's the overarching branding strategy, the corporate strategy. It's not one-off deal that they are trying to position. So our assessment of that, we are trying to analyze the historical stories, if they have sort of overcommitted, if they sort of changed their mind. That also happens a lot. So we look at that. Then we sort of correlate that with the underlying product design, the technical aspect, the sort of the micro variables that we are going to have. So we look at that. We look at their positioning. We look at competitor positioning, their pages in terms of how they are positioning, then how how users are reporting. So we are looking at all of different factors in analyzing this. So those are some of the sources that we have utilized even for this review as well. So overarchingly speaking, I guess the way Keap is positioned in the market and their definition, they are obviously going to say that, we are for SMB, we can probably work for a lot of industries. But if you look at the overarching theme, then you are going to find that they are going to be far more suitable and successful in small service-centric businesses. That's where their sweet spot is overall from the differentiator perspective. They have a lot of different unique product layers, and that's why they do really well in those patches. The second layer that you need to keep in mind is going to be the whole idea of subscription payments. And subscription payments could have many different layers as well. Sometimes the subscription payment workflows are going to be so complex that you probably are going to require a very specialized piece of software. Okay, that might be a CPQ, something along those lines. So some of the candidates that are there in the market are going to be like Zora is one of them. Okay, but subscription business model has many different layers, again, depending upon the business model, depending upon the industry that you are looking at. Sometimes that is going to be part of e-commerce. But in the CRM bucket, we have seen this particular feature in several different solutions. Number one is your Sugar CRM. And I don't know, Andy, Shasta, you guys were present in that session or not. They had very unique capability. Now, when it comes to subscription payments, it's very hard. It's extremely hard. Especially if you are going to use some sort of add-on. Generally, the CRM data model is not as complex, so it might still be okay in utilizing add-ons. But in general, when you look at any sort of financial transactions, it becomes very tricky to manage these processes through an add-on. And that's why Keap is going to be really powerful if you are going to be in those industries. And that's why we very strongly believe that Sugar CRM is going to be very strong in those industries as well, just because they have those processes built as part of the product itself. But again, the whole subscription aspect could have many, many, many different layers. A lot of different solutions in the market are going to claim that they have some features related to that. For example, HubSpot is working on that. Okay, HubSpot has some features, but their features are going to be primarily limited to some sort of content offering. Even for Keap, you are probably going to find that their offerings are going to be very similar to content offering. And when I say content offering, what that means is, let's say if I'm a coach, okay, and that is probably going to fall under that small service-centric business. Now, Coach is a very small business, but they would need a CRM to be able to run their processes, to be able to manage their customers. So one of the offerings that these coaches are going to have is they are going to have some sort of framework, some sort of guide that they are trying to sell. Maybe they are going to charge $500, $1,000, whatever. They have some sort of commercial offering that they are trying to sell. And rather than taking one-time payment, they can probably distribute that cash flow over that period of time to make it easy for people to be able to buy. And that is going to be some sort of subscription offering that they are trying to offer for these business models. Even though these businesses are going to be very small, these transactions could be very complex to be able to support. If you have to have the admin effort to be able to support these transactions, you are looking at a lot of people that probably you cannot afford as a coach. So that's why solutions such as Keap are probably going to have those capabilities, and that's where it is really strong. It does have e-com included, which is very interesting. Again, it's a very small solution. So they are going across the categories. There are not very many CRM solutions that support e-com.
Do you mind if I ask what you mean specifically by e-com?
E-commerce. E-commerce.
Yeah, I knew what it's short for, but is that for like web portals or what is it?
It's not just the web portal. I guess when you look at the e-commerce platform, they do a lot more than just being a web portal. What they do is they are going to have your content offering, which is going to have decent positioning on your on Google. Then you are going to have some sort of ad workflow. You are driving the traffic. So there is the whole customer journey design, how you are going to engage them.
Marketing as well.
Deep. So
Gotcha.
deep marketing. I mean, e-commerce is not supposed to be free. Just because it is digital, it doesn't mean it's free. Some people sort of make that mistake. It could be as expensive as your physical channel. So sometimes when people switch from your traditional channels, generally you would find business in a trade show. If you are selling to consumer, you're not going to have a trade show. So how do you sell to consumers, right? So that's where you need some sort of digital website, but the portal alone is not going to be enough. Portal might be okay, let's say, if you already have pleased customers and they don't complain a lot, I guess. Then you could expose a portal because they don't have anywhere else to go to. But consumers, I mean, they can go to Amazon. They don't have to come to you. So they require very consumer-centric experience the way Amazon is going to offer if they are coming to your website. And portals cannot do that. So that's why you have specialized e-commerce platforms. But the intent of Keap is not necessarily to provide that. Intent of Keap is going to be, let's say you are some sort of hobbyist coach selling a guide. You have very little e-commerce, maybe 2 products, maybe 3 products, not 3,000 SKUs. That is going to be intent of Keap. Now, some CRM systems that you are going to find, not CRM. I think there could be layers with respect to field service versus CRM as well. And we looked at this in the field service category too, that field service category is looking almost like a CRM. Okay, their workflows, yes, they have the field service workflows, but they also have CRM workflows, and that's why field service category is extremely unique. Okay, and one of the layers that we have seen in the field service category is that the whole payment workflow and the e-commerce workflow becomes very important as well. So now they are doing that. For example, let's say, I think if I'm quoting it right, it was not Service Power, it was not Service Max, Service Fusion. Fusion, and they are calling it Fusion, I guess, and I don't know if they had that name, but they are sort of fusing, and I don't know if that is a term, but that's a fusion of e-commerce plus field service, which is kind of a CRM for field service industry, and Keap is trying to target that as well. That's why I'm bringing this topic, that they are sort of field service plus CRM plus e-com, just because they are not able to compete in pure play CRM market, so they are trying to position to those service verticals. Comments, questions? No? Okay.
Sounds interesting.
Okay, I'll keep going. The other layer that is very interesting here is franchise. And franchise is a very unique business model as well. They have very unique CRM needs, even if you are going to go for marketing automation. So from the marketing automation perspective, where we noticed these layer was inside Active Campaign. I don't know whether you guys recall this or not. Active Campaign had franchise-centric business processes, and these business processes are very unique when you have to transfer your brand control to your, what is that called, franchisers, or what is the child of the franchisee? Exactly. So franchisee. So let's say if you have to have some sort of control, then you require all of those processes and how that handshake is going to work. And that could be very difficult if you don't have that built as part of the product. Don't try to build those processes. Okay, they could be very complex. So that's where I guess this one has some layers related to franchise. I don't know if they are going to be as sophisticated as Active Campaign, but they do have those unique layers. Now, some background on this. They used to be called Infusionsoft, which was a very popular name in the CRM category, but they ended up changing that. So now they have done the whole rebranding. Now they are calling themselves as Keap. Now Thrive is another very popular CRM, and they were very verticalized. So Andy, the approach that Infor, Aptean, Apicor, ECI, they are taking slightly more for verticalized solutions. Even Salesforce is trying to do that as well. These guys have done in the smaller market, I would say. So Thrive was very strong in that, and that's why they sort of came together, because they had very similar go-to-market strategy. So Keap is trying to do that as well, that they are trying to offer as much prepackaged functionality as possible. Overall, when you compare this with other CRMs, I mean, HubSpot is going to be very generalized. It's not going to have as deep e-com. It might not be the best fit for, I would say, service-centric verticals. Pipedrive is going to be another one, which is going to be very interesting. It's going to have some sort of CPQ workflows at least. I think Keap may not have the pure play CPQ, but they are probably going to have some sort of quoting because they are trying to incorporate some of the accounting and finance workflows as well. Can you believe this? Even though they are just CRM, but they are trying to include that too. So is it an ERP? I don't know. It's definitely not an ERP. It's probably some accounting plus CRM. So they are all over the place with respect to their category, but that might be okay in very smaller businesses when they need just one suite to be able to manage their entire business, which is very similar strategy as Odoo, Zoho, but these guys are not trying to sell different apps. So there is a little difference there, but they are competing in the same market. So from the marketing automation perspective, they have some capabilities and they seem decent. It's a fairly rich product, even though it is small. They do have marketing automation capabilities, but obviously they are not going to be as deep as some of these specialized solutions. ActiveCampaign, Marketo, Klaviyo. Klaviyo was very deep into e-commerce. These guys are very deep into service side of things. In the service side verticals, I would say the closest here is going to be probably ActiveCampaign. Marketo would not be aligned to their industries. MailChimp might be aligned, and sometimes MailChimp is probably going to be used by them as well. And then Constant Contact, that is going to be relevant for their market segment as well. Okay, I'll keep going here. Now, field service is a very interesting category, and some people might argue that, okay, why the hell are you talking about field service in this CRM review? So it's becoming very interesting. 90% of the field service solutions, the modern ones that we have in the market, they are looking like a CRM.
There's no question about that.
Yeah. And even Salesforce, they feel and believe that field service should belong to CRM. Now we can argue whole day where it should belong, I guess, depending upon transactional tightness, depending upon how regulated your industries are, depending upon whether you care for inventory, as part of your service orders or not. CRM is not going to have all of that. So depending upon what you care for more, do you care more for the customer interaction, marketing, etc., then it goes inside CRM. If you care for slightly more operational workflows, then it has to reside inside ERP. So again, you guys can figure out, what is right for you. But I'll give you my comments in terms of, where everybody stands. So that's the field service category, and these are some of the leading solutions that we have in the market. Overall, I guess when you look at their industries, travel is a very unique industry. It's just weird industry. It's very different. So you are going to find a lot of custom solutions in this, to be completely honest, because they have very different processes, very different data sets, very different transactions. So 90% of the ERP systems are probably not going to be fit for travel. Okay, generally they were very custom development shops, but now these solutions are able to penetrate there. And when you look at categories such as travel, we saw that service power was very prevalent, if I'm right. Service power was sort of trying to penetrate into insurance. Now, you don't sell ERP to insurance. The insurance companies, the only place where you are going to find any ERP inside insurance is going to be just very back-end financial reporting, just accounting. It's not a real ERP.
By travel, do you mean travel agencies?
Travel agencies, other travel companies, the smaller travel companies, for the most part, travel agents, travel consultancies. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And they have very different workflow. They have very different integration. The kind of systems they interact with are going to be very different. Their transactions are very different. They don't have the same, this is my sales order, this is my sales line, this is my pricing, this is discount. It doesn't work that way there. It's very different, like 3PL. Coaches would fall under that slightly more e-com centric space, I would say.
What do you mean by coaches, by the way, Sam? I was going to ask you.
Business coaches,
Okay.
90% of the consulting firms, they start as coach. 90% of them, right? Executives who can't find jobs, they are coaches. So anybody who can teach something, I guess, are coaches.
Consultants.
I mean, there is a little difference between, I would say, some people might argue that, consultants are different, I guess. There is a debate around that as well. I mean,
Sure.
coaches is more like job support, executive support. Let's say if you have never been a CEO and you want to learn how to be a CEO, so there's going to be a CEO who has been 5 times, I guess, and they can teach something.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah, it could be anything: sports coaches, hobby coaches, dance coaches, whatever. And then field service obviously is going to be very strong as well. So if you guys have any other comment, I can take those, or I can move to the next one. Okay. So these are probably going to be some of the closest solutions that you are probably going to be comparing, or you are going to come across in this particular market segment. Generally, what we try to do is, if you see a solution that is going to be right next to it, that is probably going to be very comparable. And if it is very far off, that's not going to be as comparable. So just to give you some insights into how to read this. So for example, Keap would be similar size as Zoho Begin. I would say the main Zoho CRM solution is probably going to be bigger for Keap in terms of the sizing of the solution. So it's very small. That's why their implementation is very light as well in general. The next comparable is going to be Pipedrive. Even Pipedrive could be...
Pardon me, Sam. Zoho Begin, is that different than Zoho itself?
Different product. They're a startup product, yes.
Oh, there's a startup. I see. Okay.
Yeah, I think they acquired a company, which has very HubSpot-like look and feel. It's not as detailed as your main Zoho product. Zoho product does require a lot of consulting, implementation help. It's not easy product. Zoho Begin could be relatively easier for companies to be able to start.
Okay, and obviously less expensive too.
Exactly. That's why we are comparing this with Zoho Begin, because Keap is a very tiny, weeny, solution. It's not even comparable to Pipedrive, which is a very small solution as well. Yeah. So overall, I guess in terms of t-shirt sizing, and there is no right way of t-shirt sizing, but Keap is probably going to be really extra small. Zoho Begin is going to be extra small. Pipedrive is probably going to be small. And again, this t-shirt sizing is relevant only for this particular analysis. Salesforce is probably going to be extra large. And HubSpot is going to be somewhere around, mid to large. It's fairly detailed solution as well. So again, this is all relative compared to whatever solutions we have, and that's how t-shirt sizing is supposed to work, I guess. Okay, so overall, in terms of pros, of Keap, obviously because of the size, the interface is going to be easy. It's going to be cheaper implementation. Some of the things which are very unique is payment capabilities, and sometimes that could be very tricky as well for a lot of businesses, especially if you are going to have some sort of commercial offering. Even for our business, it's hard, to be completely honest, because if you are going to be, let's say, on WordPress, and then you are going to have some sort of CRM, Salesforce, HubSpot, and then you figure out, okay, how do you process payments? Let's say if we want to sell a guide, it's very, very, very hard, because you have to look at so many different solutions, and sometimes that does not work. So it's at least one solution that you are getting that is going to have some sort of payment capabilities, which is a huge plus. The e-commerce processes are going to be built, but again, this is not retail e-commerce. It's more of the hobby e-commerce. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but that's probably the best description I can provide. But for very light hobby-centric business, it is what we are looking for. This is going to be friendly for service-centric business models. So any services, coaches, travel agents is probably what you are looking at in terms of the sizing of those service businesses as well. I would not think this being used for, let's say, if you are in paint business, or if you are going to be in, they do some business in the residential services as well, but I don't know if they can process real job, and that's where you need to probably go to a field service solution. So those are some of the layers to think about when you look at these solutions. And again, any sort of franchise in general in this particular market, especially when you look at coaches like businesses or residential service businesses, they are going to have a lot of franchise. They open one store, become successful, go to the next. sell their IP, I guess. Somebody else is running that shop and trying to do the business. So for franchise-centric business, you are going to require very unique processes even inside CRM, and only Keap can support that, and maybe ActiveCampaign. Some of the cons that you're looking at from the Keap perspective, and hopefully we can get to that, because if you look at the user interface, etc., this product is going to look amazing. If you look at reviews, people are going nuts on this product. So you should definitely pay attention to that. And sometimes that's where you find the real truth. So cancellation policy is one of the worst, that I have personally never seen, with any of the products. So inquire that, read very, 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 very carefully. And that is 5 very, and I'm being very intentional about that.
The fine print. So what do you mean by poor cancellation policy?
Oh, they are one of the worst. That's what, and I can probably go to some of those reviews if you want to do that.
Oh, okay. We'll look at that in a bit then. That's fine.
Let's do that just for a second, and then we'll come back.
Some perspective.
Yeah. So hold on. So here, so that people can read as well. Again, we report as it is. We don't sugarcoat anything. But this was crazy. Like, I've never seen this before. Personally, with any software vendor, there are some software vendors.
Cancellation is more complex than canceling a cable TV.
And that is okay. I mean, some SaaS companies, they do make it difficult. Making it difficult is not a problem, but their cancellation policy is really bad. Just like Zoom Info is probably known for their notorious, gimmicks, I would say, in their policies. That is probably one of the most hated company in the world because of their, contracts. And the same is probably for Keap as well. So what they are trying to do is that, number one, you don't have an easy way to cancel. You have to speak to a rep, which is still understandable. There are some companies that require that, okay, you need to speak to a rep. Okay, do your exit interview. I get it. Okay, you are trying to sell. I still
the
get
rep's going to try to salvage you, I assume.
I still get it. But even then, they don't cancel. The problem is that, okay? So some people, even if they tried all of that, then what they do is, they sort of, so let's say some people are mad, and what they are going to do is they are going to cancel from their credit card. They are going to call the bank that, I'm going to cancel this. From the bank perspective, so the transaction is already canceled, but you still owe. So they are going to send this to collection agency, and even if you are not processing the payment, your account is still active. Even though you have sent the emails, you have spoken to a rep, you still get billed. You get reported to a collection agency. Can you believe this? This is a nightmare.
I hope it's inexpensive.
It is very inexpensive, but even those could be substantial headache. That's the point that you should understand about these software, and you won't know how good they are until you understand their cancellation policies. And that's why reading the fine prints of the contract is super critical. Andy, I'm going to mute you if you don't mind. Okay, I can unmute you if your phone is done. Okay, so I'll come back. I want to touch on that briefly. If at all, we might not get a chance to cover that, but that's a very, 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 very interesting point. This is especially for this vendor. You should definitely do research. I don't know if they are trying to do anything to resolve this situation, but they have at least 100 reviews, and everybody's complaining about that. We just don't go by one review. We look at the trend and then we report. So it is very consistent. You can go to Reddit. You can go to any of the review sites, which is just wild. Okay, so cancellation policy is going to be a huge con. Customer service, even though you are going to find really good customer service until you are their customer, after that it's a real hell. So so good luck with that.
Customer service as long as you're a prospect.
Exactly, or a customer, Otherwise I don't know you. And obviously that's probably the reason why they're not mainstream. CRM companies, they are known for their crazy contracts, crazy cancellation policies across the board. They're really bad. Very salesy in general, but this is worse. This is really bad. It's definitely not for larger businesses. It's a very small product. It's going to be ideal fit for startups, service-centric, and field service-centric business models. The comparison is going to be Zoho Begin, which is a very comparable product, I would say. So I'm not going to touch on every single point here, but include that if you're reviewing Keap, then that is probably going to be the second best solution if you can live with the cancellation policy, I guess. And then Pipedrive is probably going to be other solutions that you should be looking at, which is very comparable. It's slightly bigger, but you probably should be looking at that. And then Salesforce HubSpot, if you're looking at Keap, this is probably going to be an outlier. Why are you including Salesforce? Because that's a very enterprise, mid-market centric platform. For startups, it's not going to work. It's going to be really unfriendly, I would say. So if you're looking at Keap, you should probably not be looking at Salesforce. If you're looking at Salesforce, you probably should not be looking at Keap. Okay, so some stories here. And they are saying here, the company serves 250,000 users, not customers. Be very careful. Some companies are extremely good at reporting misleading information. 250 users, maybe peanuts for Salesforce.
But then again, if this is a smaller end CRM system, each client would have probably a smaller number of users, right?
Technically, they should be reporting companies.
They should be. It makes more sense. But it's a marketing pitch, right?
I understand. But I mean, from their perspective, if I were the marketing person for their company, I would be reporting companies, because then you are going to make yourself look good, right? Because you are going to have the number of companies are going to be much larger, because the number of companies that you have in your portfolio are much bigger. Salesforce is going to have one customer.
But this is a common marketing number used in the software world, saying how many users we have, which doesn't really mean anything.
Exactly. And that's where customers need to be careful when they're comparing. Sometimes they are going to see, oh, you have 1 million user and this guy has 3,000.
Oh, yeah.
They must be really big. So again,
one with 3,000 only has one customer, though.
Exactly. All right. So I'll keep going here. So some more stories. A leader in the sales and marketing automation software for small businesses. No problems there. Today announced expanded e-commerce capabilities, Pro and Max, 2 different versions, very consistent with the other players as well. So I don't see any problems there. The customizable e-commerce platform includes easy to use checkout forms, a native Shopify integration, and premium payment processors like PayPal, Stripe or WePay. So if you review carefully, then they are integrating with Shopify. So technically, they are not necessarily e-commerce platform, but they can process that. So you are still probably going to be using Shopify for heavier e-commerce workloads. Their role is going to be just for very lighter e-commerce workloads, maybe process payments. So they are maybe trying to be more like business suite, CRM plus ERP. And again, it's not ERP, but they are trying to do that for a very, 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 very small segment. Some more, stories here, very consistent. I don't see any problem there. So this is the acquisition story, and they are saying that they have announced something called the Factory. The Factory assists small business owners with building powerful marketing strategy. So it's not the manufacturing factory, it's marketing factory. Okay, but marketing strategies and implementing sales and marketing automation. So with this acquisition and the founder of Factory. So again, this is some sort of marketing consulting firm. I don't know why they acquired. Maybe they were trying to, I think they were their ISV and they were trying to, get a lot more professional services internally.
They were probably lacking, right? So this probably fills in a gap.
Yeah, this is going to be like acquisition of your own partner. And surprisingly enough, Keap does have a lot of resellers, even though they are a very small platform, but they do go through their reseller channel as well, which is very interesting. So this was more of acquiring their own reseller to gain professional services capabilities, which is okay. Salesforce has done that as well. There's no problem at all. A lot of CRM companies have done that. They like to keep professional services internally. Here, they are saying you can attach terms and conditions, notes, and other attachments to quote in a Keap. So this is the quote functionality, which is going to be very comparable to your Pipedrive. Then they are saying in the past, when that quote was converted into an invoice, the various attachments remained with the quote. Keap will now automatically transfer those attachments to the invoice, saving you and your customers time. Again, this would fall under slightly more ERP-centric functionality. But this is kind of accounting, business suite, a lot of things together. So that's okay for this particular market segment. Then they are saying this feature is specifically tailored to your customers in the UK and Australia. So they have some international presence as well. And the taxation, the localization could be very different there. So seems like they are present there. And that's where I guess a lot of CRM systems, they don't want to touch any of the financial workflows because it becomes very hard to scale, globalize these solutions. So now they are saying you can now make use of Keap's easy automated features for quoting, invoicing, processing, transaction. Again, that's ERP territory, slightly more accounting territory, but they are able to do that. Quoting is CRM, but they don't necessarily have the financial workflows. Then this is 2024. This is Thrive Holding acquisition, a leading provider of SaaS solutions for small to medium-sized businesses. They were positioned slightly differently, but they are saying the leading provider of SaaS solutions for SMBs. That sounds like Constellation, but Constellation talks about the vertical software. So at least they are not saying that. They are saying SaaS. I don't know what that means. That's how they are positioning them. So they are saying company has signed a definitive agreement to acquire Infusionsoft Incorporation, which is Keap now. And then they have one more story here. They are saying the addition of Keap solidifies Thrive's position as a leader in the SMB SaaS space with a combined base of over 100K SaaS subscriptions. That is probably going to be a user. This is the customer base. So there is a clear disconnect here, right? So this is combined is 100K. And here, this was 250K users. So I don't know. This is probably going to be the customer count. Then they are saying the expanded scale strengthens. And then they have competitive edge relative to other major players in the market, offering a comprehensive suite of solutions for SMBs, including CRM, marketing automation, and they are calling productivity tools. Again, I think they are trying to be more like Odoo or Zoho. That's how their positioning is coming across. That's what they're trying to build, I guess. Now some more stories here, but then they have a lot of field service play as well, so they are trying to differentiate there too. Now they are saying if you run a service business, you know that meeting with prospects and clients is a critical step in building trust, selling yourself, and ultimately growing your business. Unfortunately, scheduling and managing all of those appointments feel a lot more like time. Some comment that I'm not able to read here, but again, this would fall under that field service category. So are they CRM?
Time consuming, I believe it says.
What's that?
Time consuming.
Yes, you are right. I think that's kind of time consuming, but overall, I guess the overarching intent of what they are trying to communicate here is it's almost coming across as if they are trying to be more of the field service solution. So their comparison is probably going to be service titans of the world and not necessarily CRM. So I'll keep going here. So here they are saying the first thing to remember that Infusionsoft by Keap is primarily a marketing tool and not a data warehouse tool. So this is a jab on other CRM platforms that are going to be slightly more operational in nature, Salesforce, etc. And they are super critical. You need those processes for data integrity, etc. But again, in this particular market segment, it might not be as useful. So they are saying that they are far heavier on the upstream marketing processes, and that's why their fair comparison is probably going to be with maybe HubSpot, maybe ActiveCampaign. But then they have field service as well. So I don't know how to read this. Then they have contact notes and add up to up to 100 custom fields, which is very low in my personal experience. So obviously they are not going to be as customizable. And again, you probably don't need that for this particular market segment. So again, as long as you are going to be in a very, very, very small target market segment, they are probably going to be okay. Okay, so they are saying Infusionsoft by Keap is not to store a huge amount of data per contact. And again, they are trying to probably talk about Salesforce or Zoho, I guess, because they are going to have very detailed business model. And that's why they are sort of trying to defend their own positioning, why they have 100 custom fields, because they feel that other CRMs that are going to be slightly more operational in nature are going to be data warehouse, which is not true. Data warehouse is a different category. Okay, I don't have anything else, but seems like they are going to have much stronger processes in the marketing automation. Okay, so here's some more comments here. They are saying that it specializes in home, personal, and professional services industries. So again, when you look at this particular market vertical, the major time the solution that you're going to find is probably going to be service titan, and which is fairly comparable, I guess, but both of them are positioned in very different categories. Okay, some more comments here. So this is in 2019, and these are the product updates. So before we were reviewing any sort of public release stories, and sometimes you find a lot more truth in product stories, and the reason for that is the people who are writing is very different. They are not necessarily marketers, and they are kind of technical people, and they don't have quotas that they have to sell. So sometimes you can find a lot more truth in the product updates as well. So that's why you will find a lot more technical details in this analysis. So here they are saying today it's new product lineup of CRM and marketing automation. They are saying the new product lineup now officially, Keap Grow, and Keap Pro will join Infusionsoft in the lineup. No problem there. The addition of the CRM and marketing automation software, and then you have Keap Grow and Keap Pro. So these are different additions that they have, again, very consistent with how other CRM vendors are going to position. So here they are saying Keap Grow offers an easy way for the small businesses to manage sales and impress clients in one place. I don't know what that means. Okay. They have CRM, appointments, phone, text and email messages, codes, invoices and payments. So again, they are trying to do a lot.
I assume that means that the UX at that one landing page or site is very attractive.
Impressing clients, you mean? That's what?
Yeah.
No, and the clients are going to be impressed with that, right, Andy?
Well, that if it's pretty, usually clients are impressed. Yeah.
Impressed. Yeah. Okay. Let's impress the clients, I guess, with good UX. By the way, they do have good UX, Andy. So
they okay. Well, there you go.
Oh boy. Just don't look at the reviews. Okay. Just don't look at it.
I'm not going to look at the reviews.
No negative.
I'm going to fall in love with the sales demo.
Exactly. Just look at the screens. Look at their branding. It's really good.
Just look at the demo. Don't look behind the man with the curtain there. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have one question here. So Trish is asking, what do you think of the acquisition by Thrive? I mean, in my personal mind, and I could be all over the place, but I do think that acquisition is a good one. I personally have been tracking both of these for a long time, and though they do have very similar alignment from the go-to-market strategy perspective, so it does seem to be a very interesting acquisition. The way CRM market is structured, it's very hard in the CRM market at this point of time. So I think it's very well aligned. Do you guys have any comments on this by any chance? I mean, you guys have tracked a lot now. What do you think? Yes or no? Give me something. You like it?
I wish I had an opinion. I haven't been tracking Thrive like you have.
Okay. Shrestha, you have anything or are you good? Okay, so seems like you don't, so I'll keep going here. So thank you so much, Trish, for asking that. Okay, so all of these versions are, again, we don't see any sort of red flag or anything that we are able to add here. So I'll just keep going in terms of the review. Now,
so Keap Grow and Keap Pro, are those like options or?
It's very similar to how Salesforce or HubSpot is going to position, 4 different tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Be super careful in reading the features. Generally, the way CRM tiers are structured, they could be notorious. Some vendors are decent. Some vendors are really mean. And sometimes limitations could be that, okay, you cannot have more than one pipeline. What? You cannot have more than one pipeline? Why?
What is it with this system?
I'm saying in general, this is a general comment.
A crazy limitation like that. Okay.
Exactly. And these guys are going to be no exception, especially if they are going to be owned by private equity. One of the things that private equity does is, they make pricing so complicated. It's very tricky because obviously they are trying to maximize their revenue, but from the customer's perspective, it becomes very tricky to navigate that. So just keep that in mind, especially any company that is going to be owned by private equity. They are very, very, very crafty in the terms and conditions. And if their cancellation process is very tricky as well, in general, that is owned by private equity. Right. Trish is absolutely right. Yeah, she's right.
Sounds like Trish is an expert.
Yeah, she definitely sounds like, and she's very fair. Okay. All right, so I'll keep going here. So a couple of unique layers that we have noticed is referral partners. And that could be a very interesting layer, to be completely honest, could be very hard to model, even in very leading CRMs. So they have that feature, which is just mind-blowing, that they have built that as part of the business object, which you are not going to find even with the leading CRM options. They are going to argue that you should be able to create custom objects, but the kind of workflows that you are going to have for referral partners, they could be tricky to model. Be careful there. Analyze your workflows and see how complicated they are. And if you don't know what you are doing, maybe hire a consultant. The e-commerce setup, it does seem they have a lot of layers, from the e-commerce perspective. But again, they are hanging out with Shopify as well. So they are not necessarily trying to position themselves as more of the e-commerce player. But if you're going to have light e-commerce needs, that might be okay.
So a referral partner, is that, for example, another company that you're aware of that gave you this lead?
Exactly. So in
sales, the source, more or less.
Lead source. Salesforce is probably going to have just the lead source, but they are not going to have all of different processes. For example, let's say if you are doing any sort of commission competition, or if you are sort of tiering those referral partners, so those processes could be complex depending upon how deep you are into your referral strategy, I guess. How many different companies you have? Are these companies? Are these individuals? It could be all over the place, the whole workflow.
This field of lead score looks interesting. We can assume what it means, but do you know what the source of that data comes from? How it scores that?
I mean, they are going to have some fancy algorithm in the background. So everybody has that, but some people are going to use AI and they are going to have a lot more data. But this is sort of what is that called? Give me some example, Andy. Very truncated version. I don't know.
The truncated version. I use the word truncated.
Truncated. Okay, as long as that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So this is going to be a very truncated version of the algorithm for the lead scoring.
Stripped down, sometimes people say, is a common expression.
Yeah. All right. So here we have having proper notations on account creates and audit trail. They are doing a little bit of audit trail. Again, I don't know whether they are trying to become more of the accounting software. And they have the
audit trail of what? Audit trail of the CRM entries or
anything that is happening on business objects. If you want audit trail of that would be a very technical perspective. That is very helpful in general. You don't have that. I typically don't like these systems, to be completely honest, because you want to know what is happening. But with 90% of the CRMs, that could be over bloating, to be completely honest. You don't need that. So I don't know why they are doing. Again, they are sort of trying to incorporate the payment, and sometimes with payment you are going to have, and that's where you get into this whole ERP workflow. So doing too much, I guess, in that. So I am not a big fan of audit trail, but seems like, and we have never seen from any CRM vendors, including the ones that were very technical, which is Sugar CRM. I don't think they had audit trail as part of their product. And I don't know if there are any specific industries where you require audit trail for CRM processes. I don't believe so. Which is a very interesting feature. I don't know.
Sometimes, you know how it is. Sometimes software companies add features just to have a checkbox on an RFP.
Developers, Andy, developers. You need to please developers. I am developing this product first. I need to like it.
That's right. How can you sell it if you don't like it?
Exactly. Who cares for the customers?
Yeah. And besides, we got a really difficult cancellation policy, so we've got them.
Exactly. They are not going anywhere. I'm gonna give them audit trail. How's that?
That's right.
Okay. So some more product updates. So we have 50% users now have 150 custom fields available. I would say that is smaller, but sounds like they have done some changes there in that. Your billing process is an essential part of your sales workflow. After all, what's the point of landing a sale if you never get paid? Again, why are you talking ERP if you are CRM? So who are you? Are you CRM? Are you field service? You are everything. I get it. In this market, that might be okay. Now, when you look at the price is very expensive. That's a shock. Okay, $199 per month. Even Salesforce for this market segment is probably going to be cheaper. They are charging.
Is that for one user, or does it say? It doesn't really
should
say.
Be per user. I mean, that's how majority of the pricing.
But it doesn't really say, does it? Maybe it's unlimited users.
Great point, and we don't have those details, so I'm not going to comment on that. But it does sound like I thought it was per user, but we need to go back and review again.
Yeah, if that's by user, you're right. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. None of the competitors are going to have this kind of pricing, but again, interesting. But they are going to claim that they offer a lot more because they are trying to be ERP, they are trying to be field service, so higher ticket price, I guess. They have some very unique features that we saw with ActiveCampaign as well, so which is very interesting for the franchises. So they do have some very unique capabilities. This is coming from their competitor pages. In their claims, we are simply validating, how much they are overquoting and what we saw with the other competitors, whether they are right or not, at least from our experience. So here they are saying HubSpot is designed to be an enterprise level service, and it's complicated and expensive. Pricing reflects that. Sure. I mean, it's definitely complicated. It's not a small product. It's a much bigger product. I would not call HubSpot enterprise. Data model does not support the enterprise-centric workflow, so they are still very SMB. They might be enterprise from your perspective because you are sitting at extra small. For you, everything might be enterprise, but they are somewhere around mid is what our assessment would be. But pricing, I think these guys are going to be equally expensive, I would say. HubSpot does get very expensive in general, so that might be fair. Then they are saying Keap is so committed to customer success that a personalized implementation package is required for all new customers, only cost a one-time charge of $1,500. Okay, so let's do the analysis here of $1,500. In $1,500, if you have even a decent 2-year experienced consultant, okay, you're probably going to pay $150 an hour. And I don't know how else you can produce a human who's going to be as capable and is not going to charge $150 an hour. So what you are getting is 10 hours in this. Okay, regardless of what they are claiming, what any company is claiming, I don't care. Okay, the cheapest rate is probably going to be $150. I don't know if decent marketing consultant is going to be, even if you are like 80, maybe 70. This is nothing. Like 10 hours is nothing. Literally nothing. And they are quoting that, this is what is required. HubSpot is probably going to quote very similar amount as well, but you would require a lot more hand holding. In this, you just don't have much included. So be careful with these claims.
Well, you're assuming that that's what it means, which is probably logically close. But what is it they're suggesting here? For $1,500, we're going to support you?
They are saying that HubSpot is way too complicated. They are going to ask you for so high implementation. We only charge $1,500. We are very simple. We are very.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's what
they're
it
making
means.
Sure they're making sure you look at the total cost of ownership.
Yeah, I mean, as a customer, as a buyer, you need to be careful. With these claims. Again, nothing against Keap because the whole industry is doing.
Only cost a one-time charge.
Yeah. So we are coming close to our time right now. I don't know if you guys are going to have any sort of comments. I don't think we will be able to do more. We'll probably come back to the rest of the review.
We didn't look at their testimonials.
If you want to do that quickly, I can probably skip some of the pages and go directly to the reviews.
Find one that you liked.
So this is the whole commentary about the cancellation policy. There are a lot of different things, from the cancellation perspective. Here they are saying you finish messaging, chatting with them, they will not cancel you. They will say that they are processing the cancellation.
Isn't that beautiful, hey?
It's crazy. It's just
we are processing.
Exactly. Initially they said it would be done in a day, but it didn't. I waited full 2 days to get a response. I finally got an email related to cancellation, but it said they won't cancel
gain,
right now.
long-term pain.
Yeah. They don't have a verbal conversation. So you require verbal conversation, but how do you produce a proof of that? Maybe you need to record your call, I guess. And they are going to say you never had the conversation. Okay, you are the boss.
They don't record the conversation? Isn't this a CRM system?
You are trying to cancel the CRM system.
Oh, yeah, that's over there.
They can delete the database. Okay, your conversation gone.
We don't track that stuff. Okay.
It's wild. Okay, if you keep going, I mean, if you read this, it's wild, and it's not just one review that we have. This is 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. We have looked at it. It's been the same. I don't know why.
Caveat emptor.
Yeah, it's wild. The kind of reviews that we have. So yeah, again, look at those and make a decision. If that might not be a deal breaker for you, go for it. But it could be a headache.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sam.
Of course. All right. So I'll keep going here. Okay. Comments from you guys.
Well, I'm really interested to know what the pricing is, because that $150 per month, if that's unlimited users, that would be a great thing. You don't think so?
Nobody is doing unlimited users. This is not some sort of buffet, Andy.
Yeah, no, I mean, you'd have to research it more, because at $150 per user,
per month,
so much. That's wow. That would I can't see how they stay in business, but.
No, but I mean, that's what Salesforce is charging. HubSpot, what is their
I know, but that's what I'm saying. You could buy Salesforce.
Yeah, and they are all fairly comparable. It's not that you get a discount because you buy Keap. It doesn't work that way.
Anyways, I'd be interested to know if what their pricing really is, or $199 a month, I guess it was. But
yeah,
but that sounds interesting. This poor cancellation policy really gets me, though. It's like we were just being sarcastic a minute ago. This is a CRM system, and yet they're not tracking their customer service comments. So that's what CRM is for. So, but, if the price is $199 for more than one user, whatever that means, and if it's reasonably good for small startups, I can't see why a startup would pay $199 per user per month. They wouldn't. But if it has the field service capabilities, that could be an attractive solution for smaller entry level companies trying to keep their costs down, depending upon how that pricing structure is.
Yeah, I completely agree with your assessment. Shrestha, do you want to go next?
No, I had the same kind of question, like with the cancellation policy so difficult and being expensive, how are they really attracting the customers?
Yeah, I mean, they are impressing their customers. They are not just attracting, I guess. So they are doing something right.
They're doing something right, or else it wouldn't be in business with those kind of situations.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Any more follow-ups? Enough fun today, I guess.
Enough fun for one day.
All right, guys. So that's it for today. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series. We always bring, one vendor or the solution every week. So make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We are going to come back with another solution. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in today.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, Andy.